Here is Katherine Maher being tortured by very fair questions by the GOP. She is CEO of NPR, National Public Radio, that I grew up listening to in my grandparents' home. Da, 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 da. Something very dear to me that I took into my adulthood and tried to listen to. Watch her respond to Brandon Gill, who does a great dry run of this.
Why did you call President Trump a fascist and a deranged racist sociopath in 2020?
Congressman, I appreciate the opportunity to address this.
Oh, yeah, I bet you're real thankful for having to answer that one, eh? Oh, I'm so sure.
I regret those tweets. I would not tweet them again today. They represented a time where I was reflecting on something that I believe that the president had said rather than who he is. I don't presume that anyone is a racist.
You don't believe anyone is a racist?
I don't start by presuming anyone is a racist, sir.
I believe that America believes in black plunder and white democracy.
I don't believe that, sir.
You tweeted that in reference to a book you were reading at the time, apparently, The Case for Reparations.
I don't think I've ever read that book, sir.
You tweeted about it. You said you took a day off to fully read The Case for Reparations. You put that on Twitter in January of 2020.
Apologies, I don't recall that I did.
Okay.
I no doubt that your tweet there is correct, but I don't recall that.
Okay. Do you believe that white people inherently feel superior to other races?
I do not.
You don't? You tweeted something to that effect. You said, I grew up feeling superior. How white of me. Why did you tweet that?
I think I was probably reflecting on what it was to grow up in an environment where I had lots of advantages.
It sounds like you're saying that white people feel superior.
I don't believe that anybody feels that way, sir. I was just reflecting on my own experiences.
Do you think that white people should pay reparations?
I have never said that, sir.
Yes, you did. You said it in January of 2020. You tweeted, yes, the North, yes, all of us, yes, America, yes, our original collective sin and unpaid debt, yes, reparations, yes, on this day.
I don't believe that was a reference to fiscal reparations, sir.
What kind of reparations was it a reference to?
I think it was just a reference to the idea that we all owe much to the people who came before us.
The torture session for her goes on. She's asked whether or not there are 87 Democrats and 0 Republicans on her staff and whether or not this is fair and balanced reporting. The question that I have is, why should we as taxpayers be forced to pay for these programs? This obvious left-wing bias that she claims isn't there, this absolutely woke, somewhat attractive woman who's well-spoken, which is probably why she rose to the top. Those two things are very rare amongst leftists, but still part of the hive mind. She just rose up to be Queen Bee. Now it's time we smash that bee and the beehive that is stinging us with this left-wing propaganda that we fund with our tax dollars. My question for you is, do you want your tax money going to NPR, which has a complete leftist stance, that didn't investigate the Hunter Biden laptop, that said it was a waste of time because they wanted to help get Joe Biden elected, that has on people that are authors that wrote, for example, in defense of looting? The absurdity of us to fund this programming. Hey, it's your First Amendment right. You have the right to espouse your left-wing vile ideas that looting is beneficial for the oppressed classes. Because Katherine Maher is ashamed of being born white, and thus she wants to instill that into your children. The fact that white people should be ashamed of their immutable characteristic. No, thank you. Nor should you if you're black or Hispanic or Chinese. I don't care. That should be the most boring thing about us. But the leftists want this to be the most prevailing feature that we have, and somehow we are responsible for actions that took place deep within the past, including the Africans who sold slaves and held slaves on the continent themselves. That still goes on today, but we don't talk about it because we've got, on the leftist ideological programming schedule, NPR, we have to bash down the white man. So, Katherine Maher, my mere question for you and for everybody out there is, why should we be funding your leftist programming with our tax dollars? Why should some program be put on the congressional books and we never defund it except with amazing difficulty are we able to do so. This is why we must be incredibly judicious with what we spend government money on, that these people believe that the government is there, that our tax dollars are there to be pilfered, to be divvied up amongst them, to fund their ideologies that would rarely, if ever, receive funding on their own. Yes, I realize that there are a lot of donors to NPR, and I once donated to them a couple of times, unfortunately, I have to admit. Never again. I don't even listen to it. I stopped listening to it so long ago when they went ideologically off the deep end. For some reason, it's like things build up, and then suddenly there's a snap, and then there's no more relationship. And that's what it was with NPR for me. So I really appreciate Brandon Gill and the way that he handled the questioning of Katherine Maher in these brief clips that I played for you. And I really want to know your opinion as to what should be done with NPR. Should taxpayers be forced to fund it? I have the feeling that the majority of you out there will say no. But if you disagree with me, please leave in the comment section. I really want to know why we should be forced to fund such things in the age of YouTube and Rumble when any program can be put out on its own to see whether or not it garners enough interest. I don't think that anything on NPR would. They are just state supported and they're just indoctrinating us into their ideological stances. So have a fantastic day. Thumb up the video, share it, and peace to everyone out there, except for Katherine Maher.